Thank you, everybody, for attending this Thursday, October 5th, 2023 Mooresville Redevelopment Commission meeting. If you, all in attendance would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a short prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads and join me in prayer. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here today and in a place where we're able to discuss town business and how we can do things to better the situation for people in Mooresville. We ask that you would guide our decisions and guide our hands that we can do the best job possible. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Cole. Third item on tonight's agenda, the Main Street project update. Design contract with Banning Engineering.
So hilariously, Mark asked to be put on the top of the agenda because he has another meeting at 7 o'clock, and then texts me that he's running late. So how about we can we go?
Sure, I think I heard a door. I think I heard a door open.
Yeah, these mics aren't on. Sorry.
I don't have a mic in front of me.
Exactly. I stole yours. Sorry.
Testing. Okay.
We on?
Mine's on.
Is everybody on?
Yep.
Check, check.
Nope.
You were saved by the dead mics.
Now it's on. You on, Dana?
Yep. Okay.
Just kidding. We can go ahead with that.
Now that we're ready, we'll do the Main Street project update, the design contract with Banning Engineering. Welcome in.
They all have copies of the contracts, Mark.
Okay, thanks for, thank you formally for having us as part of your design, as your design team. And we put together a proposal that is kind of a long read, but it goes through all the parts and pieces that we anticipate we will need to get this project done. And I just wanted to kind of hit the high points. So we'll require preliminary services, which, we'll need survey and geotech and all these things. So the main point, though, is that we want to involve the public, involve the property and business owners that are along Main Street in a way that they feel included, that they feel like they can share their opinion, and that their opinion is important in this process. So this isn't just for show. This is really something we want to include as a big part of the project. So I don't know if you can see on the second page, at the top, we've got a series of public and property owner outreach meetings, campaign we call it. These meetings will be held in a public place, hopefully either here or close to Maine and Indiana, where they feel like they can see visuals, options that we're considering. Typically we'll have Post-its where they can write their ideas and place those Post-its on a series of boards. The design team will be there to answer questions. In the beginning, a lot of those questions will be answered as maybe, we're not sure, put in your input, and then another meeting with the business owners. How I could see a lot of questions like, how am I going to stay open during this period? Okay, how am I going to survive, and how are people going to know when my shop is open and how to get there? And so we want to address all those concerns openly. And so in addition to the meetings, we've set aside what we're calling local business hours, okay, where once a month in a place hopefully as close to Indiana, Maine as possible. We want to set up a time where anybody from the public can come and find one of us on the design team to answer questions for 2 to 3 hours, spanning like a lunch hour. They can come walk down and in person find one of us. Okay? So we have that through the entire design process, where those office hours will be once a month, and we plan on putting like a sign out on the walk, but also FYI, hey, out on Facebook or whatever social media outlet we want to do, or on the website. So it's a multi-pronged approach so that we can get those comments pulled in. When we get them all pulled in, in addition, we'll have a public workshop. I kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Then we get into the design stage where we go through, and I failed to mention that we will have a steering committee, which you guys have already chosen who that is, and we'll have monthly meetings with that steering committee. I understand schedules are all over the place, so those will probably be mostly virtual, but some may be in person. And as we progress through the process, we'll be sharing all of the ins and outs of the project and the ebbs and flows with the steering committee. Okay. Let's see. And then as we go through, I don't want to talk too much, and I don't want to give you too little. So we'll get through the design with milestones. We'll have like a conceptual design, which is like a 30%. Then we'll go to a 60%, and then 100%. So, or 90 rather. So at each of those milestones, the design committee, steering committee will have a chance to give comments. Hey, I like this, or I don't like this. And we'll incorporate public comment as it comes in off the web page or Facebook or in person. Okay. When we get to the third stage, which is going out to public bid and then construction, our proposal includes managing that construction all the way through the process. So we're taking bids, we're recommending a contractor to award, and then we'll be on site during the entire construction process. Somebody will be on site whenever the contractor is there from the banding team. And then we'll continue those office hours through construction, which we think will be really important because there will be questions coming in about, hey, why are you doing this? And how can I get through here? We'll also have another meeting with the property and business owners at the beginning of the construction phase. It's like a kickoff. And we're going to show, they'll already have an idea, but we're going to reinforce how folks should be parking, what we're going to be telling the public to help them get to the different shops on Main Street. So that way they can ask questions and there's no confusion as to how people are to be routed. Okay. Let's see. Then we also plan on a bi-weekly email blast. It's something that we would send to the committee, but also materials that can be put on the town website and things like that. And that concludes kind of our what's all in the price for everything. We have an attachment A, which is kind of like an a la carte series of services that we could add on if we wanted to do that. So we felt like there could be a lot of value in taking the steering committee in person, going down and doing a field trip to Huntingburg and visiting that site. So where they had this successful Main Street or 4th Street project, and we can talk to the representative that was basically managing that project for Huntingburg, and we could grab her ideas and what would they do differently and what they really liked, and spending the time to get those best practices out. And because our landscape architect was in charge of that project and designed it, we have all the keys to the kingdom, if you will, to go and do whatever we want down there and check everything out. So I put that as an add-on service if that's something you guys want to do. I feel like there's a lot of value in that, but that's up to you guys. The next one's a pop-up event, like if you had, the bicentennial's going on and we want to put up a tent where some of the design team is there to answer questions. It might be valuable. Mobile display, do we want to set up a standalone website? Is there some irrigation design that we want to do some fancy, watering in some islands, things like that? Additional public workshop, that could be a bigger workshop where we would need a bigger room, a lot more visuals, or a smaller meeting that would be focused, like a business owner meeting with property owners invited as well. Something that maybe would fit in Zydeco's or Ralph and Ava's, like a smaller, more intimate meeting. So that's the difference with those. So I've done enough talking. I wonder if you have any questions that I can answer at this time.
Are these add-ons things that we can add on later as we decide? If we decide, we don't have to decide now.
Correct.
Okay.
There's no reason you have to decide now. I would say these can be added anytime. I think it makes sense that some would be added sooner than later, like the field trip, stuff like that. But yeah, there's no pressure to add these tonight.
Okay.
Good question.
I've got several questions. One, can you explain what the irrigation design is again?
Sure. So that's a sprinkler system design.
Oh, okay.
And we would only need it in the case that there is a special landscaped location, like a median or something that would need that. So we had...
No medians. No medians.
No medians.
Yeah.
I don't think we need that. I thought it had to do with,
I know.
I thought it had to do with drainage, maybe.
Not necessarily.
Okay, so assuming we move forward, will you address, I'm going to be off here in a couple of months, so I'm going to ask,
Okay.
I want these questions on the record.
Yeah, sure.
Will you address the light pole that continues to get hit?
Yes.
Whether it
So-
takes moving it or whatever, and so that it can look like it's supposed to look with the skirt actually on,
Yeah,
and it matches.
and not like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the traffic light pole that gets hit first, and then the secondary light gets hit. It's bent too, but the main light, the traffic light pole, gets hit before the second one, but then the second one also gets hit, so.
Right. It kind of bounces off of one.
I just want
and
to make
hits the other.
sure if you can free up traffic, whether it's a light issue or whatever, that you look at that.
Yes.
I won't be here, but
Right. No,
I want it
that's
on the record.
I appreciate that. That's a good question. And yes, we will be looking at that. And let me explain a little bit more about our approach on the traffic side.
Yeah.
We have in the scope to do a study with new traffic numbers since the original study was done in 2021.
yeah,
We have a feeling that our traffic specialist has a feeling that traffic has increased since 2021 through, and that traffic counts need to be redone. So we have that all in here to look at it. We are going to come up with recommendations on how to balance the vehicle traffic with pedestrian safety, with on-street parking. We're going to come up with a set of recommendations for that out of a study. And the idea is that if the do-nothing approach is what the commission would like to do, then the study completes the traffic portion, and we simply move what's getting hit over so that it stops getting hit. If the commission would like to move forward with one of the recommendations, let's say it's designing a southbound left turn lane or something like that, then that, since we don't know what that scope is, we didn't put it in here because we don't know what level of effort it is. So just so you know, we would be coming back, depending on what we want to do, that we would need an amendment at that time to fulfill that part, okay? So I'm just trying to make you aware of how this is going to work.
I was on East Main yesterday, and it was backed up, cleared almost to Circle K,
Okay,
just on a normal traffic day. It took me, I think, 3 lights to get through it, maybe.
yeah,
Now, you can pull off other streets, but it still was backed up, you know.
sure. And I think that supports taking new traffic counts because the 2021 study didn't seem to show that poor of a level of service. So
I think maybe some COVID numbers, maybe there was a little less traffic or something. People were working from home, I don't know.
yeah. So we want a better snapshot of that.
Okay, this is my personal opinion. I think the website's important, or at least to have a place you can direct people to, a link, a plan on our website or something, you know, or on the town's site.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the idea of all the interaction with the business owners. I think that's a wonderful idea. Then, lastly, this is for the attorney. I own property I own 6 West Main, that this sidewalk is going to go directly in front of. Do I need to recuse, or what do you think
For the design?
for any of this?
Not for the design and,
Okay, I like to
yeah.
fully disclose anything like that, because people say, oh, he put a sidewalk in front of his building, you know,
Well, I mean, you can't design a whole sidewalk
minus my building.
minus the one part of it. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
This is a project we began talking about before you were a member of the commission as well.
Yeah. I just want that on the record.
Show that.
I like to over-disclose. That's all I had, so.
Oh, it's good questions. We intend to get started right away on the project. So we think that the design process will probably be 1 calendar year. So we'd be ready to bid about this time in 2024 for a 2025 construction season. We anticipate that in the winter, contractors typically don't start road work like this until that April-May timeframe. So then they would go from that start time all the way through to November. I'm not saying that it'll take that long, but that's kind of how we based our proposal for the construction period. So these things take time, especially when we're scheduling and doing the public campaign. We don't want all the meetings to be all in one time because folks can't make it all the time. And we're not relying on in-person meetings solely because a lot of times they're not well attended. So we're trying to do multiple directions to get as much.
I think right out of the bat, it would be important for us to have a pop-up event at the Victorian Christmas. And I would think that the Eclipse Festival might not be a bad place to consider that either.
right.
So Victorian Christmas, what is it?
First Saturday of December.
Second, I think it's December 2nd.
Will we be ready for an event in December?
I think we would have at least one of the public meetings by then,
Okay.
either with the business owners or the public workshop.
I just want to make sure we weren't timing
Something,
wise was gonna
Yeah.
match up.
But public awareness of the fact that we're
Absolutely.
going to do this, we're going to have meetings. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mark and I spent quite a bit of time going over this. We went really heavy on the public input because I
Yes.
know that that's very important. And we also discussed, me and I was volunteering, maybe somebody on the steering committee or two, to go door to door. You know, that maybe we come up with a half pager that this is happening. We are at the very beginning of stages. We have this, and this planned for public workshop, business property owner event, business hours, because I don't want anybody to say, I had no idea. Or I wasn't able to have my voice heard, and this will be impactful, and construction is painful, and I am well aware, so I want to make sure that we're as communicative as possible.
So would a project website have like a feedback area? I mean,
It would.
I would think the problem with managing that is how to keep one person from just blasting everything and making it seem like this is the biggest important thing to the community. They put it out there under different things or whatever. But
Sure. So anybody can say anything on Facebook, and they do, right? But the way the website would work, or if we had, another method, the way it would work is that we're soliciting their feedback, but they can't necessarily see everyone's feedback. That then becomes internal to the steering committee and design team, and it tends to be more constructive that way, I guess. And just to know, it's important that you know that we've also included graphic support for branding the project. So if you remember our presentation, if you were there during our proposal time, our landscape architect made a logo for the project for 4th Street, and they said it was like 4th Street with a big 4, and it said open for business, and that was the logo for the project. And so these flyers that would go out would have that on it. Everything would be branded so that everyone sees that logo and is like, oh, I know what that is, because they've seen it in the paper perhaps or website. So that's already in here.
It may even be possible, didn't talk about this, but to even have a landing page on the existing town website. Just a separate hashtag. I'm not going to try to come up with a marketing scheme right this second, but hashtag whatever it is on Main.
At time with timelines and
Yep. That's right.
updates to the project if something changes, or
Yep. Probably have some kind of calendar on there.
you can
for
refer
meetings.
especially the ones hit the hardest, the business district and the homeowners that are affected. You could say, hey, go to this page and we'll try to keep you updated here as well.
Absolutely.
May keep them from having to call you every 10 minutes too.
Yeah, I really like that idea, having a subpage off of the existing town's website. And what we would do is provide the content, and then whoever posts it on there just needs to post it, and we keep in contact. So Mary on our banning team will be kind of the single point of contact when it comes to coordinating with the public, with organizing the public meetings, business owner meetings. She'll be kind of our point of contact for all that and be in the website as well. So
Would it change the price to go that route as opposed to you having your own site?
Nope. In fact, this project website item here is a standalone, intended like if we wanted to set up a whole separate website and we would drive all that posting and content and all that. If you do it, if we get some help from the staff and we can just push the content, then this is not needed.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
I believe because see to it does your website, you'd be able to just probably push the stuff off for them to put it up there. Yeah.
Yep.
Linda does a great job. I'm volunteering Linda in the clerk's office, but she does a great job with Facebook and the website. So I'm sure if I asked, the clerk treasurer's office would be, because quite frankly, they're going to get the calls anyways,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. They are.
The
That's right.
complaining. So I'm sure they would love to push the information as much as possible.
Just so they could refer them right to there. Mm-hmm.
That'd be great. Any questions, comments from the board?
Did you come up with, who came up with this approach of the business hours and the meetings with is that you guys, or did Chelsea do that, or who did that?
That was our design team ideas.
I think that's
Yeah,
a good approach.
it came from, our landscape architect with what worked really well down in Huntingburg. And we felt like we needed to give every opportunity for someone to not be able to say, I never knew, until my sidewalk was gone, So we want to show a genuine approach that we truly want to hear people's feedback, so, yep.
I'm impressed with it.
One thing we did discuss, and we've done in the past, and I quite frankly, that's never been successful, is we've hosted some of the more public meetings here or at the library. And so we had discussed hosting that at Ralph and Ava's or at Zydeco's on the other side to try to, because it's there, right? I mean, they're already affected property owners. But maybe there's, if we can, you can have a Sazerac and, some banana dessert. What is it? Bread pudding. Carter's bread pudding. Maybe we'd get more people to come out or whatever the case may be. And obviously support local business. At the same
Right. If you feed them, they will come.
Yeah.
That's kind of,
So,
yeah. That's right. We talked about that, and we think that would be effective. And we want to support those that are already there. So, absolutely. And we feel like it would be a more inviting environment for genuine public input than coming in here necessarily. So, but that is details yet to be worked out. So, just a comment, our traffic sub-consultant that'll be working with us on the team is Lockmuller Group. They're a local firm, headquartered in Evansville, but they have a very large India office. So we have a great relationship with them. So I just want to let you know that it's Lockmuller Group, which is different than who did the 2021 study. Yeah.
Perfect.
Questions? Okay. Thank you.
For the time and all the detail. And just to reiterate, I do love the public comment sections because the more informed everyone is, the smoother things seem to happen. So
Yeah, absolutely.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, and thank you guys for the opportunity. This is an opportunity that doesn't come very often to be part of something truly transformational for Main Street. I mean, the heart and soul of Mooresville. This is what we're talking about here. And I'm just thrilled to be in this position to be able to see it all the way through. It's going to be awesome. So, really excited.
So at this time,
The motion
Go ahead.
does the motion need to include any of the, it's up to you.
Talking about the add-ons?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up to you guys.
can we do the motion knowing that?
With,
Do we just need to state on record that there may be some additions down the road? Would that be?
You don't have to state that at all. I mean, they're in the contract, so you just vote to approve.
As presented?
Yeah,
Okay.
or unless you want to take an add-on now, you can do that.
if you want the pop-up at Victorian Christmas specifically,
on
I
now.
think
Go ahead
that
and do
needs
that
to be added now because we need to give them more than 3 weeks to get ready for a pop-up event.
okay.
I would make the motion that we accept the agreement and add on the pop-up for Victorian Christmas.
Okay, we have one motion to accept the agreement as presented plus the pop-up. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Motion passes.
Thank you again.
Thanks. Tomorrow. Thanks.
Want the other thing? The other agreement?
Thank you again for coming.
It's hourly.
Get there.
Enjoy.
Thanks, Mark.
Moving on to the next subject for tonight's meeting, the minutes from the September 7th, 2023 executive session and public meeting. I'll go ahead and ask first, do we have any comments or questions in regards to the executive session or the public meeting from September 7th?
I have a question.
Add the name.
I vaguely remember us setting up a committee, and I don't remember which piece it was. Didn't we set up a committee? Was it for the steering committee for this, or for something else?
It was.
Those are BOT, I thought.
DOT, okay. As I didn't see it as I was skimming it. I remember Aaron was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right here.
Here it
It's
is?
here on the first
Taylor here.
page.
Oh, okay.
More. Closer against.
I will note that so I'd already asked the clerk treasurer's office to print these on the executable minutes that Commissioner Taylor has. I added the term on the Mooresville Business Center update. The sentence now reads $655,573.77 net proceeds were received by the commission. So that
Clear.
it's, yes, don't want anybody to be confused by that. So Commissioner Attorney Storwald caught that, and these had already been printed, so that's on the executable version.
That way people don't think we sold it for that.
Exactly.
I would make a motion that we accept the executive session and public meeting minutes from September 7th as presented.
I have a motion to accept September 7th, 2023 executive session and public meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Motion passes. Item number 5 for tonight, the financial report.
That was emailed out earlier today. I received it from the clerk treasurer's office. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I believe the copy is sitting right there.
Any questions or comments from the commission? Seeing none, looking for that motion. Need a motion to accept the financial report.
I'll make a motion that we accept the financial report as presented.
I have a first. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
First and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Financial report is accepted. Old business, Mooresville Business Center update, Merriman Road and State Road 67 signal lighting.
So you will remember that we designed the signal to go at Merriman and State Road 67 quite some time ago. When the commission purchased the property, formerly known as the Poly property, we approached NDOT and essentially were awarded a covenant, which means that upon such time that we have traffic numbers to, in order to basically need a light, that they would allow us to put a light in, at our cost, of course. So when we had it designed, that engineer does not bid the project. So what you have before you is a contract from V3 in the amount of, it's a $14,000 max contract. And that is for project bidding, for NDOT permit coordination, and then reimbursable expenses. So I've taken this as far as I feel that I can. I've talked with NDOT and said, okay, sold 85 acres to these 3 people. This is what they're doing. These are their construction timelines. May we build the signal? And they said, well, here's the permit page. I'm not an engineer, and that's where my expertise stops. So we need to bring in an engineer who can get us through that permitting process. Again, it's already been designed and approved by NDOT, but get through the permitting process, help us bid it, and then, again, I'm not an engineer, so we'll get it bid, and somebody else needs to say, yes, these are the specs, and the bids match what the specs are, and make a recommendation to the commission on who to choose. So I would ask for your consideration for this, with B3.
How did you go about finding this V3?
B3, so they were a company that had submitted on Main Street. They were one of the three companies, and I've had a relationship with Brian Haggard for quite a while, and I'd had a conversation with a couple of commissioners, and we said, let's go with B3.
You said it was dependent on traffic, which so far hasn't changed much.
Right.
So if we do this now, with these, before we'd actually be able to do it, the prices might change a lot, right?
So the first step is going to be the permit with NDOT. And I know that the town, Old Dominion has already gone to the town for approvals for their building. And I know the town is very hopeful that prior to construction commencing, there is a signal at Merriman and 67. From a pure safety concern of semis trying to turn off to get supplies to build off of 67 onto Merriman Road and vice versa. Now again, there is Bethel, which is still a country road, up to Flagstaff, which is a signal. So I don't know at what point NDOT will say you're close enough. It is possible that it could go, we could put the light in and it could be yellow for a minute, flashing, until there's enough traffic to warrant green, yellow, red. And I know NDOT does not like the signal to go in far in advance, or for them to be, if you've seen them hanging with bags over them perhaps, because they're not, so I know they don't like that. But again, I need somebody to help me get through the permit process, because I'm going, I don't know what I'm doing at that point. I got it as far as I could. So we won't bid it until we know what NDOT has said we can do and when we can do it.
Okay.
Once it's built, do they take over its operation and maintenance?
Yes, they do.
So if there were changes in traffic patterns, are those no longer this commission's responsibility
Yes, correct.
in the future, like after it's built?
Yes. They just let us pay for it on the front end.
Yeah,
And then tell us not to touch it ever again, basically.
it's weird.
Thank you for all your work on that. We've gotten it to this point, so any other questions or comments before we ask for it? I'm assuming we need a motion to go hunt down somebody that can help us get across the finish line.
I would make a motion that we accept the agreement with V3 for the bidding services.
I've got a first, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll be an aye. I just noticed something in the contract, though. It says this agreement is governed by the law of the state of Illinois.
Good catch. I will make sure that is changed.
Has the attorney reviewed these at all?
I have not, I've flipped through it since we've been sitting here, but this is all for services. This is hourly, and it has a maximum out of 14,000. Yeah.
I just saw that number 15, state of Illinois.
Yep, I will.
Does it refer to any county court or anything? And does it refer to, some contracts refer to the county of jurisdiction or whatever you call it?
Then I mean, it would be in here, is
Okay.
where you would try to sue them, but.
Did that doesn't mess up the motion and the vote,
Do we
correct?
need to amend the motion to, with corrections?
It's not bad, yeah, I would do that. So,
I would amend my motion to accept the proposal with the correction of the agreement being governed by the state of Indiana.
I have first proposed with the amendment suggested. Do I have a second?
A second.
First and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Good
Okay.
catch, Shane. Next item for tonight, fire station update.
I spoke with the fire chief, and he is aware that the commission would like quotes before considering any assistance with a digital sign. So I'm sure there will be more to come on that.
Comments from the board? Patel site update.
We received one proposal for services for construction management for the road to be constructed on the Patel site, and that is from CTC Commercial Teams. I have sent that on to legal counsel, who, with a cursory review, said that from a legal standpoint, it seems to include everything, but did recommend that our engineer take a look. Because we do not have a town engineer, you have a contract in front of you from Banning Engineering for hourly, an hourly contract, and a similar situation to make sure that the road that we're proposing, or that the CTC is proposing, is in fact what the town would desire for a road. So, to get us through the BOT process, we just received this yesterday, they were due yesterday. I've sent it to the subcommittee. Again, legal has done a cursory review and it said it looks fine.
Okay.
So I would ask that you approve the contract with Banning Engineering to review from an engineering standpoint. I will get that back from Banning, and then we'll circulate that to the subcommittee. We'll then have a meeting, likely virtual, just to discuss the singular proposal, the engineer's recommendation, so that we can make a recommendation at the November meeting. And did I miss anything? Do you want to add anything?
Nope.
Okay. I'm happy to answer any questions. Anyway.
Question from the commission before asking for a motion?
It's hourly. Do we have any idea how many hours it might be?
These things are typically a few grand. This likely won't, so they'll review this, but then, plan changes may come in as, construction commences. We may pull them back in. Can you take a look at this, here, or they're tweaking this there. So they may get pulled in from time to time when the town needs an engineer throughout the process. But we're talking, I think, 5,000 max. We're not talking huge dollars.
Would you be opposed to making the contract not to exceed 5,000, or do you want to leave it as like open-ended?
I mean, we can do whatever the commission so chooses.
I would leave it open-ended just so that you can continue to get their services, especially if you have questions or.
Without having to revote?
Yeah, because if you're wanting to approve the final proposal, you'll want to be able to do that without having to come back here multiple times.
And these are the 2023 rates. They may go up in 2024, so.
Good, that's a good point.
Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion that we
Approve the agreement with Banning to review the road design of the bot.
Okay, I have a first. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Contract. Parks update.
What you want?
Thank you. So you have before you, not an agency agreement, but a reimbursement agreement, that Attorney Storwald has drafted, which essentially outlines, that the commission, per the directive given last month, agrees to reimburse the park board up to $3.15 million, for hard costs, inclusive of construction and equipment. The park board agrees to pay for all soft costs. It says that in the event the costs of the projects exceed the available amount, the park board shall pay all costs and expenses in excess thereof, including any unused contingency. It also says that the park board shall refund the redevelopment commission any TIF revenues in excess of the actual cost of the projects. The exhibit, and I have the exhibits here, are the initial park plans that we had been provided previously.
The way it's sort of set up is, we know they have a lot more projects than 3.15 million. So basically, they sort of have the option to choose, like, okay, well, we need the redevelopment commission's help on this playground equipment purchase, so that's what they want to, they have up to 3.15 million, so they let us know, hey, we want to buy playground equipment. We're like, great, they go bid, they come back and they say, it's $500,000 for all this stuff. We send them $500,000 so they can buy it, or if it's to build a pickleball court or something, so once they bid, they come back, they show us, hey, this is the bid, this is the cost, so that way you know they're moving forward, they're ready to go, you transfer the money, they enter into the contract, and then they go, and then every time then the money just sort of comes off the 3.15, and so when you get down to the end, when they have $1 million left and there's a project for $1.2 million, you'll send them $1 million, they got to cover the 200,000.
So this doesn't lock us into phase 1A or 1B. It locks us into that
We're going to help with.
contributing the 3.15 to that project.
Yeah, so it allows them the most flexibility in terms of, oh, well, now phase 1A is now 1C and we're moving up 1B. You know, we want to use the redevelopment commission funds for this particular project. And then sort of just keeps coming off the top. So it allows them flexibility on, or maybe they have some grant that they got for playground equipment, so they don't want to use
Yeah.
TIF for that playground equipment.
There
So
was, sorry.
yeah, so it allows them a lot of flexibility in planning and moving forward, but it does, you do not transfer the money until they have bid and are ready to execute a contract. So you don't send 3.15 million and just wait. It's as they're ready to go.
Right.
There was some confusion at the town council meeting that as to what this board approved, and this is what I felt we were aiming towards, is what you're describing in our initial let's move forward vote, so that's my thought. But
I will, just as a point of clarity, again, how it is written, the reimbursable agreement is for construction and hard costs. So 3.15 of construction and hard costs. So that does not include design.
right,
But that's the only point of clarity I would make.
they've pretty well already paid for the design, right? As far as
I think there's still some outstanding.
there's still some outstanding. Okay.
And Phil is on vacation. Keelan is here, which we appreciate him coming. So if there are questions.
The park has those funds to cover the design, correct? You better tell me yes.
For the design portion, do you know if it's more what fits where, or what?
Yeah, a bit easier on you guys. So, in talking with Chelsea today, that kind of helps at least me. You know, Phil maybe is on a different level than I am, but at least helps me in the fact of, I think we were caught up in a little bit of phases, like Shane says, of, you know, what we have to do first. I think that frees us up a little bit more of maybe not worrying so much about phases. With the design build, let me check my little cheat sheet here. I mean, I think for that design build, we have enough to get that off the ground. So, to answer your question, yes. I think there's costs at the end of the project that we're still figuring out how we're going to do that. So, but like I said, that freeing up maybe what we're thinking of how we're phasing this project, I think that really helps us.
Maybe the town council can put in a little too and be a part of the project too.
Yep.
So I'd like to see that personally, but that's me speaking.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So I will just say, and again, I don't believe that the Parks Department attorney has had a chance to review this agreement yet. But the exhibit is, again, what the Parks Department had provided. And essentially, the motion was made based off of funding strategy number 3, which completed phase 1 and 2. And that was assuming that the Parks Department would contribute $800,000, that the Redevelopment Commission and the town of Mooresville collectively would contribute $3.15 million. That there would be a $700,000 matching grant from Land Water Conservancy Fund, and then $40,000 of other grant opportunities. So if that's not, I do think we need to get the exhibit right before we agree on the reimbursement agreement. And I know that there's been conversations with the town council on whether or not they can contribute. And I know in previous conversations, there are things, obviously food and beverage is one of the accounts that the town can use for Parks Department, but there are things that the Redevelopment Commission cannot fund, such as operating expenses, such as maintenance. I'm not saying a maintenance facility, I'm saying the maintenance of things, and that's perhaps something that food and beverage could be used for, as an aside, so.
Phil will have more information for you when he gets back from vacation. I think there's
Is time important here? Because it's another month before we meet.
Correct. So, not as important as initially thought. So, some of this funding is a matching playground grant.
Yeah.
We can get an extension on that. So
You can.
we can. Yep. So,
That's what I thought. I thought there was a grant.
correct.
We were up against a grant.
Correct. We can get an extension on that. So we found that out earlier this week. So that alleviates a little bit of, just kind of my foresight on this is I think we're super excited about this and we're trying to get the ball rolling and maybe getting sometimes the cart in front of the horse. So I think this was good tonight to kind of help me to help him of like, hey, we don't necessarily we have to phase this project for ourselves, but the funding doesn't necessarily need to be phased a certain way. So,
Do we need a vote to move forward with a more flexible option so it's clearly on the record, or
We just table this till the
Attorney reviews it.
they can review and we can make any changes and come back for us.
Okay.
so that it'll just get approved in the final version of this?
Yeah, assuming that would be the plan next month. And
I'm happier personally with what you described tonight.
Yeah, and I think that helps clarify. Yeah.
That's what's in the agreement, right?
I'm sorry?
That's what, I described what's in the current draft.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm happy with that
Okay.
personally, but I don't know about the other members.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think that helps further the conversation.
Absolutely, 100%.
But you want the park board or you want it reviewed by them before we approve it? Is that what I'm hearing?
That, and then I think just understanding the funding strategy and what, how that is, whether we should clarify that to update it, because the redevelopment commission sort of took on the portion that was funded with the town.
Yep.
And then the operating and capital funds for the parks department and everything else on sort of who was paying for what and how much and what they were all contributing.
So you want to change the exhibit to match exactly what we're doing? Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to figure out why are we delaying on our end?
So we know what we're agreeing to.
Okay. Okay.
We'll table that for now, and like I said, the more conversations, when Phil gets back to.
Absolutely.
That'll help that, so if anything else arises, we'll.
Do you want a motion to table it?
I'll ask for a motion to table the reimbursement agreement as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I have a first, I have a second.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. We will talk about this again.
Again, we really appreciate this. We're super excited about what this is going to do for Mooresville. We will move forward accordingly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming tonight.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. We'll go down another notch to Resolution 2023-5 regarding the agency agreement for park.
You just,
We tabled,
Oh,
we tabled
yeah.
the whole thing.
The whole thing, okay. Well, we'll move down even further. Legal update.
no further legal update.
There is a upcoming meeting on October 23rd in Bloomington from CDFI Friendly Bloomington. I know that it is on Commissioner Culp's calendar. I am out of town and unable to attend. But as I mentioned before, CDFI Friendly Bloomington is the entity that applied for the Brownfield assessment grant and was awarded it on our behalf. And so again, it's a new executive director. She's really trying to get out there to meet people, to talk about what it is that they're trying to accomplish and to build some relationships. So if anyone is available, I think I sent that to everyone. If I did not, let me know, and I'm happy to forward that invitation on.
Because I think they want you to actually sign up.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
and
do have to
register.
register
Yeah,
to
you have to
attend.
actually register.
Yep.
But Brian, you're going?
I am going, yes.
Good.
Yep. I do just want to take a minute. I know that Town Council President Tom Worthen did this at the Town Council meeting, but I just cannot let it pass without mentioning the passing of former Town Attorney Tim Currens. Tim was the Town Attorney for over 40 years. The Redevelopment Commission was formed in 1990, and a lot of that, he was right in the mix. There's I hate that Aaron's not here, but there is a picture of Joe Bikeman and Tim Currens at the TOA groundbreaking under the glass in Dave Moore's office that I always love looking at when I go in there. I don't know that anyone will ever really know all of the things that Tim did for the town, because he did a lot of them silently. But I know I personally, when I got to Mooresville 10 years ago this month, I didn't know what an abatement was, and Tim Currens taught me what an abatement was, and CF1s and SB1s and TIF and everything else. And he was very giving of his time, a lot of which was not billable, and his talents. So I just couldn't not mention his passing and what an impact he will forever have on the town. So with that, I have nothing else, and I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Comments? Seeing none, we will move on to new business. Any new business to discuss? Not everybody at once. All right, move on to review the claims. So everybody had a chance to look at the claims for this month.
I saw them in the email.
Okay.
Everybody else? Shane? Okay. I make a motion that we accept the claims in the amount of $35,354.02.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
First and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Claims passes. For good of the order, we do have another packed house tonight, so if anybody in attendance would like to say anything, now's the time. All right.
I'll say here for supporting our firms and rec department.
You have to state your name and address, ma'am.
Now it's official. All righty. Mr. Williams.
I think I'm very pleased with what I saw tonight with the openness and transparency of the Main Street project. And I think this commission has really embraced the idea of transparency, and I appreciate it very much as a taxpayer myself.
Mr. Hyde-Wright. Mr. Cole.
I'm excited about all the projects we have coming. And I also want to mention that Josh Messmer, our county administrator, we are trying to set up our second meeting with Plainfield. We met in June, I believe it was, earlier this year. We initially talked about doing it quarterly. It's sort of slid to we didn't get one in the last quarter, but we are looking to continue to do that so that we can foster a relationship with Plainfield and try to make sure that as we are doing projects that maybe we don't get lost on their radar.
Good point. Thank you much. I've got nothing. Mr. Attorney?
Nothing.
Justin?
Interest earned this month was $55,214.32.
I can think of no better way to end the meeting.
There you go.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
All righty, I've got the favorite motion of the night. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor to adjourn tonight's meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Next meeting is scheduled for November 2nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. Should that change, we'll be sure to get public notice out in a timely manner. Everybody, enjoy the rest of their evening. Thank you.